up, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to episode 2, season 2 of Girl You Know What podcast. And today we are very excited because we want to welcome our first on-air guest to the podcast. So please welcome Ashley Browning, who is the CEO of SheSelfish.com. So thank you so much, Ashley, for joining us this morning. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. It is a blessing to be on this podcast, and I'm ready to get into some good conversation with you ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So we always talked about last season, like, oh, we're going to talk about self-care. We're going to talk about self-care. And as soon as we said that, I was like, oh, well, I know somebody who will be perfect. Ashley and I have never met in person, but the crazy thing is, and I don't even think she knows this, we used to work at Homeful at the same time, Ashley.
Oh, I do remember the name now that you said it on the little schedule. Yes.
So you used to be an engagement specialist, I believe,
Yes,
like on the
I was.
weekends.
A weekend engagement specialist.
And so I was a case manager, like Monday through Friday. And so I just remember we had an engagement specialist and we were like going through the time because engagement specialists used to clock in. And so I was fixing the time cards and I always remembered your name, Ashley Browning. And then when I saw you on Facebook, I was like, oh, I'm a Sarah for request. I remember her. She used to work at Homeful when I worked there. So when we talked about self-care, I was like, oh, she would be the best person because everything about her is self-care. That's her mantra, her website, everything she does is about self-care. So we just basically, tell us why self-care, like why is that your focus?
So for me, the focus began probably around 2018. It was just like I was at a point in my life where I was completely just burned out. And working in the human service field, it can be like stressful and taxing because you often take on other people's problems, and you want to help everybody, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I had to get out of that mindset that I couldn't save everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So I was just at a place where I was completely burnt out. I was going through a horrible relationship. I was like going through a transitioning in jobs, trying to figure out if I wanted to stay in human services, if I wanted to get out. So just a complete transition, right? So I was in a meeting one day and a guy just said something and I feel like the light bulb kind of went off. And it was like, oftentimes women, especially Black women, they take care of everybody everybody else but themselves, and they often neglect them. Mm-hmm. And it was just like a light bulb just kind of went off, like, man, he was right. Like, I've seen my grandmother bend over backwards. I've seen my mother stress to just take care of her responsibilities. And now here I am, I'm modeling basically what they did for me, right? So it was just like I said, just a complete switch. And in that process, I needed some healing as well. So it was just like, God was like, I am going to make you go through this self-care process and model it to the world as well. So it was basically like, it was like a thing in my head that was like, man, I need to bring this to everybody, right? So that's why I have been on this self-care kick since 2018. Now we know self-care is like a buzzword and it's something that everybody is doing. But I want to get people to actually realize it's not something that you do, it's a lifestyle.
Right.
Yes.
And what would be your so how do you define self-care?
So for me, I'll give you a clinical definition and I'll give you my definition.
Okay.
So like if you look it up on Google or Webster or whatever, the definition is self-care is the practice of taking action to preserve and improve one's own health. So that is the real definition of it. So, but mine is, I feel that self-care is a divine responsibility. And when I say that, I mean that we all know that we are spiritual beings, correct? Right. So if you know that, that literally the only thing that we have control of is our bodies. So why wouldn't you take the time to take care of yourself and your whole self and your whole spiritual being self? So like, how do we focus on self-care, and making sure that we are in alignment with what our bodies and minds are saying. So that's how I kind of look at self-care. And that's how I define self-care from a divine responsibility. Like, it's my job to take care of me.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Because you made a great point. We do need to make it our jobs
Mm-hmm.
because we make everybody else our job
Yes.
and we make us the priority last.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I noticed that in everything, everything I do,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
even when it comes to like saving money, it was a struggle for me to take away and save for myself first because normally you want to pay everything first and then make yourself last. Like it was a real struggle. So in everything we do, you're right, it's a divine responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be some self-care tips that you would give? Or what do you recommend people? Where do we start if we're doing self-care?
So I would say the starting point is saying no.
Mm.
Um,
That one right there. Mm.
I know,
That's a
right?
lot.
I know, and I know it sounds easy. Just say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've been hearing that slogan all our lives, right?
Right.
But different capacities, right? But I think that that is the point where you have to realize, like, I don't have the capacity, so no, I can't. But we always flow. We always go above and beyond of what we can do, and we be dead tired, dead broke, dead spiritually drained, emotionally drained, mentally drained, but we still trying to say yes to something that we have no capacity for. And
Mm-hmm.
so we, in essence, we damage ourselves. So I would say for anybody that's listening, I would say also to you ladies to start by saying no, and don't have any guilt or shame around saying no. And also, don't explain yourself when you say no.
Mm.
'Cause a lot of times we want to be like, no, I can't do it because I got to do X, Y, and Z. It don't matter why you can't do it. Just say no.
Right. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that would be my first thing. That would be my first suggestion.
Okay. And so, um, so, what is so? I'm trying to figure out am I self caring at all then? Because
Okay, let's talk to me. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me like what your routine is. Tell me like some of the things that you do, like, and we can kind of like discuss that.
so like so that's why I'm asking like what is considered self care because I think that the only thing that I do for myself to rejuvenate myself, well, of course, I read, um, I listen to music. That is probably my ultimate like self care to rejuvenate myself is. But the last time I got my hair done, honestly, it felt like I was kind of like pampering myself or like doing something for myself that was a little like, oh. But then it was like, why don't I do this more often? Like, why don't I
Mm.
like take care of myself more often?
Mm-hmm.
I had to kind of question myself about it. So I don't know if I am self caring enough. Like, I don't think I am.
So do you have self care? I'll say schedule into your routine
Oh,
daily.
absolutely not. No,
Okay.
no.
So I will say at least take 5 to however long, at least 5 to 10 minutes. I'll say I'll start out 5 to 10 minutes um to do something. If that's just like meditation, silent prayer, whatever your spiritual beliefs are,
Mhm.
um, or that 10 minutes you said you like to read. A lot of times we read in between of doing something and not just like I'm sitting down to actually read, right?
Right.
Mm.
So like me, I might read while I'm on a plane or while I'm, doing something else. I'm normally just multitasking, but I'm reading as well. So I would say definitely set time aside. So like I know on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, I'm reading my book for an hour.
Okay.
Or Tuesdays, I am this is my so I'll so my for me, I try to have a day. Everybody does not have an opportunity to have a day.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say so Thursdays is my day. I do not take any outside meetings on Thursdays, and a lot of times on Thursdays I take mental health days. Um, Also, I try to So I kind of tell you like some things that I kind of do too. So, like I said, I have a day, but I say everybody doesn't have the opportunity to have a whole day. So I would say put small pockets of time in your day, like on your way to work. If you have a commute to work, if you're going to work, drive in silence. And that can
Mhm.
be your time to deep breathe, to get recharged for the day. If you go to the gym, that can be your self care time.
Mhm.
So a lot of times we talk about like maintenance when you say like getting your hair done. That's maintenance. That's just regular natural maintenance. You need to get your hair done because we know the germs behind if you don't wash your hair, if you don't do all of that.
Right.
That's normal maintenance. So I'm gonna go over some of the eight components, and I also talk about some things that I do. So I have like a little self care schedule where I try to do, like I said, something weekly, and within that process, I try to do two new things a month, and I keep a list of things that I want to do that's new, right?
Mhm.
So like my list right now is I want to do hot yoga. So that would be one of the things I do. And I try to take myself on a date every month as well. Just by myself, and I get dressed up and I go out and do whatever I want to do, right? So let's talk about some of these eight components of self care. So I know it sounds like crazy. It's eight of them. Wow, right? Um, and I don't want anybody to be like, I got to do all eight at once because it's not possible. I would just say take one and maybe focus on that for a month, or and then switch up every month. So the eight elements of self care is spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, financial, social, occupational, and environmental. So with spiritual self care, we know it's like the activity that we engage in to find a sense of connection to a higher power or deepen meanings for our lives, deeper meanings for our lives.
Okay.
So with that one, you can do like meditation, you can do prayer, you can do yoga, you can spend time in nature, you can practice forgiveness.
Mm.
So those are some things that you can do within that spiritual self care realm. So how are y'all doing with y'all spiritual self care?
I
I'm
would,
doing amazing.
huh? Would you say?
I'm doing amazing.
You
Yeah,
doing amazing?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say that.
I'm a really spiritual person, like as far as like spiritual, emotional, I'm doing good with those.
Uh huh.
Hmm.
Because I go to therapy, so I do good with those. Like, but the rest of those,
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah. So spiritual is usually the one that is, if it's out of whack, you probably a little bit of out of whack.
yeah,
Um,
I will.
so
Yeah,
yeah, you'll know kind of like I need to spend more time doing X, Y, and Z, or I need to, you know. So like for me, I even have a spiritual routine. So like once I do in my mind, I do quarters, right? So like for
hmm,
a quarter, I might study a certain topic for a quarter or whatever. Also like I try to do daily devotionals, prayer. I definitely can get better with prayer. But so there's things that that you can get better in. And I have a hard time with meditation as well, but I'm like really making it a practice to really try to do that just to be able to get my mind to focus and be trained to do what it needs to do.
right.
right.
All right. So emotional self care. Y'all said y'all got that one too. So emotional self care is to be very aware of your identity, like what you're feeling, how you allow yourself to like lean into the feelings, and you want to honor yourself and your emotions. So this one is one that I always say it's okay not to be okay, right? We
Hmm.
are often taught like, "How are you doing?" "I'm fine." You're not fine all the time.
Right.
So making sure that you know that you're able to say, you know what, today I'm not, in the best the emotional space. So this is when you do that mindfulness. You start setting your boundaries. You know how to identify your triggers. You know how to say no, and you know how to sit and feel your emotions. A lot of times we don't have the opportunity to feel our emotions. So that's why a lot of times our emotions come out as either crying or we come out as like angry because we don't
Hmm.
know that it's a whole array of emotions, and we don't have opportunity to just sit in those emotions sometimes.
Yeah, and I will say this: like a few weeks ago, I was like in a real bad mental space, and I just could not get it together. I couldn't understand what was going on, so I guess I kind of took those steps. Like I told Keisha that I was going to start, like really just focusing on myself, like just focusing on what makes me happy. And one of those things definitely was, getting into, like, I started doing yoga and meditating, things like that, so that really has helped me just over this short period of time over the past few weeks. So that, I will definitely say that has really been just a change in me. And I've also noticed that the older I've gotten, I don't really let a lot of things bother me, and it's not saying that it doesn't bother me, but I just don't take it to the extent where it's just like, I just realize that everything's not a battle. I can't take care of everything. I can't do everything, so it's just like, I think definitely just that space of, like she's saying, just taking that time, really does help for yourself. And yeah, everybody can't do it, but it really is helpful.
And I wouldn't say from a mental health aspect, sometimes when we are not in touch with our emotions, and like you said, your emotions come out, you seem angry, you're crying, a lot of times we have some unresolved trauma, unresolved issues that we have carried with us into adulthood. We never learned how to cope with those things. So you don't know how to function emotionally. And if people are really honest with themselves, there are a lot of people walking around like that. Because, and I speak, from a place of going through that. When emotionally eating, I always say, like, I was a person who was emotionally eating my emotions, because you don't know, I was not allowed the space as a kid to have emotions about certain things. So when you don't know what to do with them, you find other ways to quiet yourself. And the same goes for people who consume alcohol. Like, all of those things, sometimes your emotions, those things are off whack. And until you recognize it and you own it, and 9 times out of 10, you may have to get therapy for those things. But that's sometimes people don't want to, deal with that and talk about that. But that's a good point. It's working on yourself emotionally.
Yes.
Yep. And I would say it's about, a lot of times we talk about maturity, but we don't talk about emotional maturity.
Absolutely.
Yes, there you go.
Because you activate or you act out of your emotions.
Yes.
But like I said, I don't think we're taught a lot of times like how to deal with emotions. And I think
No, we're not.
No, not at all.
This generation is trying to figure it out. But we're figuring it out. So our kids and everybody else would have, hopefully they'll have an opportunity to get it.
Right.
So with physical self-care is, how are you fueling your body? How much sleep are you getting? How much physical activity are you doing? And how well are you caring for your physical needs, like attending to your healthcare appointments, taking medication as prescribed, are managing your health, are all a part of good physical self-care. So some of those things can include, of course, we know eating healthy meals, engaging in exercise, drinking water, get adequate amount of sleep, and physical touch. We don't realize how important, like a hug. I am not a hugger, but I understand why people do
it. Right.
Yeah, because a hug can really make you feel better if someone genuinely can discern that something is wrong, and they give you a hug, and you can actually genuinely feel better.
Right.
So physical self-care is definitely one that I struggle with. I'm okay with it, but I don't want to work out, but I do.
Right.
I totally get that, because I try to, at least if I can't make it to the gym, I try to go 2 to 3 times a week to the gym right now. But if I can't go to the gym, then on my lunch, I'll go for a little walk in my neighborhood, or when I'm in the office, I'll go for a walk around the building. So I try to, stay pretty move around as much as I can, especially having a job where I always say I have two jobs. So, my 9 to 5, I, sit at a desk all day. And then same thing, even with my business here that I'm trying to do, I'm always at the computer. I'm always developing and writing and editing and doing things like that. So I really try to be more mobile, but it is hard. But, I think once you mentally prepare yourself, because it is mental, once you mentally prepare yourself, to actually do it, then, if you get in that routine, it's really not hard.
Right. Definitely agree. I go to the gym a couple times a week, but like I said, I still don't want to do it. And I want to get to the
Yeah,
point where I love it. I want to get that.
exactly. I'm not
Yeah.
there yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I go, but it's just like I'm still like, oh, but like, yeah, I want to get to that point too where I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to get to the gym today, but
Uh,
yes, I'm not there yet. No.
yep. All right. So the next one is mental self-care. So that's the
Yes.
activity that, helps you declutter your mind, reduces your stress levels, the way that you think, what is filling your mind, and it involves your learning, thinking, and growing.
Hmm.
So with mental self-care, take a break, connecting with a therapist, reading a book, do puzzles and word searches. We know that it keeps your mind sharp and growing.
Yes.
And okay, of course, we know we should journal in some capacity if you can. I felt like I used to journal all the time, like as a kid. And then, but I felt as my, like, it was my escape then. But then I felt as my adulthood became like a chore. So I was working with my therapist on that, and she told me to switch from actually writing to video blogging.
Oh,
So
wow.
you basically use your own.
I was a kid too. That was my outlet as well. But I never thought about doing video blogging, like journaling. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, it's easier sometimes because sometimes you don't have the time to sit down and write. So just go ahead and pick up your phone real quick. We always got our phones.
Hmm.
So pick up
Yeah.
your phone and do a little message real quick and then get it out and then delete it if you want to keep it. Go back and look at it later, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
too.
Yep. So financial self care is developing habits that set you up to reach your financial goals and teach you how to start saving money and following a debt management plan. This is another one that I struggle with too.
Hmm.
I'm great at creating a budget, so that's one of the examples. Create a budget, track your income and expenses, develop a good relationship with money, create a realistic plan, and invest. So I know how to invest, I know how to create a realistic plan, I know how to do the budget, but actually doing it is my problem.
Like I got the creation part down, but
All of that down pat. But I realized, it's kind of like working out. When you work out, you have to find something that works for you. Everybody is not a go to a gym machine person. Somebody might be a line dance person. Somebody might do aerobics. Somebody might do water.
Right. It's just the physical activity is
You have
important.
to find something that works for you when
Right.
it comes to like
Hmm.
financial self care. So for me, I follow the envelope method. I don't know if you've heard of that. So
Oh
basically, you
yeah.
take all your money out of your account, so you don't really have an opportunity to swipe,
right.
and you put the money in your envelope. So once the money is gone, it's gone. So it ain't
Hmm.
no like I can go back to the account because no, you can't use that money that because that money has been switched to savings or whatever.
Yeah.
So that has worked best for me, and I know that I actually like can stay. I can actually keep money throughout the month, or and not be like, oh shoot, I don't know how I'm gonna make it to next month or next week or whatever. So I think that really works well for me. Like I said, find something that works for you to make sure that you are taking care of your finances. Like I said, we were not taught this either.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. Right.
credit. We were not talked about, with the importance of having money or saving money because of course we was in before now we were in survival mode. It was just like
Hmm.
we are living to just survive,
Yeah.
right? But now we are like trying to live in an overflow and living in abundance. And we like, okay, we got money now. So like how do we keep money? So that's what
What
we
do
are.
we do with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So definitely look into stocks, get into some penny stocks or whatever, like it'll cure over time. And we got a couple more, and then I'll be done, and you all can ask me whatever questions. So,
Oh yeah.
social self care is, cultivating your feelings of love, appreciation, gratitude, and connection with others. So, some examples for this one is plan face to face time with people,
Mm-hmm.
uh, call a close friend, join a group or organization, go on a date, take a social media break. So, those are some examples of social self care.
Hmm. Was it one more?
Yeah, occupational and I think environmental are the last ones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, occupational is adopting practices that lead to a healthy work life balance. While at work, you want to reduce overall career stresses. So, that's like when you sit at your desk, making sure that you taking a lunch break. Don't sit
Mm-hmm.
at your desk and eat. Like, go to another room. If they have a break room, go to the break room. Go to your car. Go somewhere that you're not in the office, thinking about, I got to eat my food at my desk and I'm still trying to type these notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Make sure you use your vacation and your sick time. Leave work at work.
Mm.
Stay organized and know your capacity.
Mm.
And then environmental self care is just being a part of the environment, how you harmonize and interact with the world around you, how you reconnect with the earth's natural patterns, support your community, create sacred spaces when you know how to rest and recharge. So that's making sure that you are decluttering your spaces, decluttering the areas around you, you're volunteering, you're going on a hike, you're recycling, you're saving the trees so you opt out of paper. So those are some things that you can do for yourself and for the environment around you.
Mm.
So that's pretty much all the eight components of self
Okay.
care. And it doesn't seem that bad when I go through them, but when you think about eight, you're like, oh my God, it's a lot. So like I said, just focus on one of those things at least.
Do
Yeah.
you have those on your website?
I do. Yep.
Okay, okay. So you guys can visit her website, sheselfish.com.
Yep.
It's a beautiful website.
Yes, it is. I was looking at it like, ooh. It's like I love the
Ooh, who
setup and
did this?
everything. Yeah,
It's
I like it a lot.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you
so
all.
we definitely want people to, go to the website, write those eight components down, and make them a practice of your life.
Yeah.
You know, daily, like you said, quarterly. That's good to split it up in quarters and, work towards those goals so they don't seem so overwhelming.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that, yeah, because like when you try to do too much at one time, this could be anything, but especially when you're trying to focus on yourself and get yourself together. If you try to do too much at one time, then yeah, it's gonna you're gonna just be like okay, and just give up on
You give up.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
You
because
feel
Yeah,
like
we're gonna
hopeless.
say, oh, this is too much. I'm just gonna
mm-hmm,
do what I've been doing because it's easier to do what you've been doing.
right, yeah.
Well, do you want to tell us anything else? Because we greatly appreciate
Oh
you
my goodness.
coming and, giving us all this information,
Mm-hmm.
because all too often, like you said, now we have money in abundance, we're having life in abundance. It's time for us to start putting these things into practice. Because really, those things that you gave, it's not just about self care. Those things are the components for just living a well life, like living a good life,
Mm-hmm.
living a fulfilling life. And self care is tied into all of that. So, those are really eight great components of living.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. And I just also on my website, I have some free options for people who are not sure exactly like where to start. So, like you said, that you love music, right?
Hmm.
So, I have some free playlists on there. So, I have some
Oh,
inspiration, I have meditation, and I have affirmations.
Okay.
oh,
On there
okay,
that you
great. That's great.
free playlist that so the inspiration actually also was created by my Facebook community. I asked like people what are their motivational songs, so I'll compile
Mm-hmm.
all of those and put them into a playlist.
Oh, I think I remember when you asked
Yep.
that.
I'm asking random questions. It's always for a reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So I
Yeah.
compiled that and put all the songs into a playlist. And then also we have a free self care calendar, so it's monthly. So it's something that you can do for yourself a month. So like at the beginning of the month, it'll tell you like to set your intentions for the month, and then like the next day, it may be something as simple as take a social media break or journal.
Right.
Like so,
Mm-hmm.
you have different tasks each day to do. And then we have some free coloring pages for people who like to color. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we know that coloring is something that we can do in adulthood and it can relieve stress as well.
Yeah.
We have some free options on there. So check those out. And I hope you enjoy those options. And Continue to, take care of yourselves and put yourself first.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
thank you so much.
Yes.
And we will check back in with you probably. Maybe in season 3, we'll have a refresh of self care.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and I might have some different stuff, to talk about then. So yeah,
Yes,
self care is
absolutely.
always ever, evolving and having some different breaks in self care and like discoveries. Like even with myself, I've discovered different things that work and don't work, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Well, we again want to thank you for being our guest, our first live guest.
Yes. Yes, really appreciate it. And you can, as always, as she was saying, you can actually join her list, her community on her website, and you can get these updates and self care tips and things like that.
Because I
Um,
get them in my email. Just want
yes,
to say, I
yes.
get them.
So, again, Ashley's website is sheselfish.com. So, oh my goodness, we truly appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming by and giving us those tips. And, hopefully this will touch a lot of people.
Yes.
I know it did me.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You're
Well,
welcome.
we want to thank you all for listening. And as always, Danielle, close us out.
All righty. So, everybody, have a blessed week, and we will catch y'all on the next show. Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.